The timeline went crazy the moment Dame Dash made a wild public statement hinting at an explicit tape threat, because the tone wasn't playful, it wasn't business, and it definitely wasn't normal industry talk. Social media picked it up instantly, and within minutes the conversation flipped from "what did he mean?" to "why would he even say that?" Dame has always been known for speaking reckless when he feels cornered, but this time felt different. The words came off sharp, emotional, and charged, like someone lashing out instead of making a point. People weren't laughing. They were confused, uneasy, and watching closely, because when public figures start talking like that, something usually follows. And sure enough, it didn't take long.
That's where we're different. We got different trauma. So you can't really look through my eyes because you do things different.
You that much?
No, do I look bothered?
Yeah.
I'm bothered
Actually, you do.
What I'm bothered about is you're speaking in front of people confidently and you don't have the experience or the knowledge. And also, I'm afraid that white people think that we act like you. Right? Because when you say kids, I was like, and it ain't no disrespect, but I kind of think you're gay. You just act a little gay.
Got a problem with gay people?
Not at all. I've got a problem with people that pretend they're not gay.
Charlamagne wasted no time stepping in and firing back hard. He didn't sugarcoat anything, didn't dance around it, and didn't show sympathy in the moment. He went straight at Dame's credibility, his recent behavior, and the pattern of public outbursts that have been stacking up lately. The response wasn't subtle, it was sharp, direct, and relentless. Charlamagne framed the situation as another example of someone spiraling publicly, saying reckless things for attention and dragging everyone into unnecessary chaos. The timing made it even crazier, because the response came minutes after the tape talk started trending, making it feel like a live collision instead of a slow burn beef. The internet exploded instantly. Clips were reposted everywhere. Comment sections flooded, and people started drawing lines between Dame's words and Charlamagne's reaction. Some felt Charlamagne crossed a line by going so hard so fast. Others said Dame brought it on himself by speaking recklessly in the first place. What nobody expected was what came next. Reports started circulating that Dame had been hospitalized, and the entire conversation took a dark turn. Suddenly, this wasn't just about words, jokes, or media back and forth. It felt serious, heavy, uncomfortable.
You know what I'm saying? So when I hear things about Dame, it seems like people only tell the bad side because the person who has the most money is on the other side. That's the part I don't like, you know? So when I hear certain things, I don't like it. And I would want to know.
Once the hospitalization news hit, the culture froze for a second. People started replaying the clips with a different lens, asking whether Dame's mental and physical health had been deteriorating in real time. The energy shifted from roasting to concern, from gossip to "this doesn't feel right." That's when the situation crossed into another lane. It wasn't just an argument anymore. It was a public unraveling happening on fast forward. The speed of it all made it shocking. 1 minute it's talk, the next minute it's a hospital report. What made this moment hit harder is Dame's history. He's a figure tied to major cultural moments, big wins, big losses, and years of tension with media voices. When someone like that starts sounding unhinged publicly, it doesn't land like a random rant. It lands like a warning sign. And Charlamagne's response, whether people agreed with it or not, became part of that story instantly. The clash wasn't just loud, it was loaded.
Feel about, them guys talking about Dame and Dash, your fellow Harlem guy, since you're from Harlem.
Who was talking about him?
Steve Stout and Shannon Sharp.
Oh, I did see that.
As the hours passed, people started breaking down the situation frame by frame because the escalation felt too fast to ignore. Dame's comments weren't treated like jokes, and Charlamagne's response wasn't treated like comedy. Everything felt sharp-edged. People began pointing out how Dame's recent public appearances have been filled with frustration, bitterness, and sudden mood swings. That context made the tape talk feel less like a stunt and more like someone losing control of the narrative. And when Charlamagne attacked his credibility, it landed like gasoline on a fire that was already burning. Charlamagne's approach was classic him, confrontational, blunt, and unapologetic. He framed Dame's behavior as self-sabotage, saying nobody forced him to speak recklessly and nobody owed him protection from backlash. The tone wasn't compassionate, it was cold reality. That's why the response divided the audience. Some said Charlamagne was speaking truth that needed to be said. Others said timing matters, and going that hard right before hospitalization news broke looked ugly. But once again, the culture split in real time, choosing sides without knowing the full picture. The hospitalization reports changed everything. Suddenly, clips felt heavier, words felt permanent. People started questioning whether public pressure and constant criticism had pushed Dame too far. Others pushed back, saying accountability doesn't stop just because someone gets hospitalized. That tension made the story explode even more. This wasn't a clean narrative. It was messy, layered, and uncomfortable. And that's exactly why it dominated the timeline.
So let me tell you why.
But what if it,
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me.
This is hilarious. I love what you're doing. This is hilarious.
So what I'm saying is, you might, because you started in gossip, which is, is very feminine, and you are acting like, there's some degree of like, you want people to listen to you, and that we want people that represent masculinity, because men need to be doing what they need to do as men. They don't need to be worried about girl stuff.
What also fueled the fire was how fast blogs moved. Headlines stacked up, thumbnails went wild, speculation ran unchecked. Some people treated the situation like drama, others treated it like a crisis. That split made the culture argue about something bigger than Dame and Charlamagne, how media handles moments when controversy and health collide. The line between commentary and cruelty suddenly felt thin. People also started asking why Dame keeps clashing with media personalities instead of focusing on rebuilding quietly. His past success is undeniable, but his present struggles are visible. When someone with that kind of history starts lashing out publicly, it creates discomfort because it feels like watching a slow breakdown happen in front of an audience. Charlamagne calling it out added fuel, but it also forced the conversation into the open. Ignoring it wasn't an option anymore. The situation became a mirror, reflecting how fast things spiral in the digital age. One statement, one reaction, one headline, then everything explodes. And once hospitalization enters the story, there's no going back to jokes. The tone shifts permanently. This wasn't just another industry spat. It felt like a cautionary moment unfolding live.
I've never heard you say one thing bad about Jay-Z, not one.
He's not in the room. You shouldn't talk about it.
Don't tell me what to do.
You said you shouldn't talk about men
Now
when you're not in the room.
you're interrupting me.
Now you're doing the girl stuff.
I know him. I'm giving you an example, right?
You used to know him.
Can I talk? Like, your OG is Wendy Williams. My OG is sitting right here. You see him? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you why he's my OG. Because he anybody or any of those things. He just taught me how to be a better man.
Wendy's not my OG.
Can you
That's
stop?
funny, though.
Can you stop?
Wendy Williams is your OG.
Wasn't she your boss?
As the dust continued to swirl, the focus moved from who won the argument to how did it get this far? Because nobody could ignore how quickly the situation crossed into dangerous territory. Dame's words, Charlamagne's response, and the hospitalization news combined into one heavy narrative that left the culture uneasy. People weren't just watching anymore, they were worried. And worry spreads fast when it's mixed with controversy. The discussion shifted toward patterns. Dame's history of feeling betrayed, his long-running resentment toward media voices, his tendency to speak without filters when emotions take over. All of it came back into focus. People started saying this moment wasn't isolated. It was the result of years of unresolved tension boiling over publicly. Charlamagne didn't create that tension, but his response made it impossible to ignore. He held up a mirror, and Dame didn't like what was reflected. There was also a conversation about power. Charlamagne represents a media machine that moves fast and hits hard. Dame represents an old guard mentality that never adjusted fully to modern platforms. That clash is explosive by nature. When those worlds collide, words turn into weapons. And this time, the fallout wasn't just digital, it was physical. That reality shook people deeply. Fans debated whether Charlamagne should have paused once the situation looked unstable. Others argued that public figures are responsible for what they say, regardless of their state. That argument went nowhere, but it showed how complex the moment was. There were no clean heroes, no easy villains, just two strong personalities colliding at the worst possible time, and the consequences felt real. Meanwhile, Dame's hospitalization became the center of concern. People stopped clowning and started hoping he'd recover. The jokes faded, the tone changed. The culture doesn't enjoy watching someone collapse. It reacts to it. And once that shift happens, everyone involved gets pulled into a bigger story than they planned. Charlamagne's words were replayed under a new lens. Dame's words were dissected differently. Everything slowed down and got serious. This moment exposed how dangerous unchecked emotion can be when paired with massive platforms. There's no buffer anymore, no delay, no private space to cool off. Everything goes public instantly, and once it does, there's no undo button. That's what made this scandal hit harder than most. It wasn't entertaining, it was alarming. And the culture felt that difference immediately. By the end of it all, this situation stood out as one of those moments that forces the culture to pause and reflect, because it wasn't just loud, it was sobering. Dame Dash's words triggered a chain reaction that spiraled fast, and Charlamagne's response amplified it into a national conversation. The hospitalization turned what could have been another messy headline into something much more serious. Nobody walked away untouched by this moment. The biggest takeaway wasn't about winning an argument. It was about recognizing how quickly public pressure can overwhelm someone already on edge. Dame's legacy, Charlamagne's influence, and the media machine around them all collided at once. That collision exposed cracks in how the culture handles conflict, accountability, and health in the public eye. It showed how easy it is for situations to go from heated to harmful without anyone meaning for it to happen. This scandal also highlighted how words don't exist in a vacuum anymore. Every statement gets clipped, reposted, and judged instantly. There's no room for cooling down. And when someone speaks recklessly, the reaction comes fast and unforgiving. That speed can be brutal. Dame experienced that in real time, and the outcome reminded everyone that these moments have real-world consequences. Charlamagne's role in this story will be debated for a long time. Some will say he spoke necessary truth. Others will say he lacked empathy. But what can't be denied is that his response became part of a much bigger narrative about responsibility, timing, and the power of media voices. Once hospitalization entered the picture, the conversation changed permanently. For the culture, this moment served as a reminder that behind every headline is a real person dealing with real pressure. It also reminded everyone that speaking without control in public spaces can backfire instantly. There are no winners when situations reach this level, only lessons, and those lessons linger longer than any viral clip ever could.